Okay. I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back. We hit week 10, 2 more weeks, and then the playoffs begin. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin here. Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, brought to you by SI Design and Printing, Power Plus Mouthguard, and Small Town Society, right here on L4 Media. And we're starting off tonight. Well, we start off with 2A always, but we start off between 3A and 4A with the 4A game because we'll go ahead and announce it now. We'll be at a 4A game this week, and as we're going down into the deep East Texas, back to my old home stomping ground to watch Carthage versus Van. I watched a little bit of the Carthage game this past week. They're good.
Carthage Center.
Yeah, they're good.
They are good?
Yeah, they're really good. And
Really?
I'll give Center credit,
That's
man.
surprising.
Yeah.
I thought they were paper tigers.
I will give Center credit for a quarter and a half. They answered back and forth. It was 14 or 16-14. You always know when Carthage is a little bit worried about their opponent because when they score first, they'll go for a 2-point conversion because they want to go ahead and get you off your schedule. And Center.
Do you think they're really worried?
I think they're. Look, Center's the triplet Center thing's the real deal.
Yeah, no, I know. I went back and watched them several times.
I think Center, again, the problem is the region they're in. You're going to have to go through some giants, but I think Center could end up because if I'm not mistaken, Carthage and Pleasant Grove would play on the side bracket. Yeah, third round.
Third round, I believe.
I could see Center on the other bracket getting through back to play Carthage. I really could. Now, they're going to have to figure out their defense. You and I have talked about that a couple weeks ago. And the funny thing was
I still think they're getting a little better. I know it's on paper. And I didn't see this Carthage game.
Yeah.
But how can you really measure it?
Oh, yeah. I'm more measuring what they did against Van. And Van gutted them for 56 points. I still think that their defense is their biggest issue. But in saying that,
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I absolutely agree. I do think they're getting a tad bit better. And if you have an offense like that, if you can just get us a stop.
Yeah,
a stop. And maybe they're getting good enough to get a stop.
And the issue with them, though, was that I'm laughing. Sorry. I'm laughing at the typo in Brownwood, Lubbock.
So... Can I? Okay.
I don't know why that's making me laugh, but that's funny.
Yeah, I said the Brownwood defense held Esta Juat.
Is that new Lubbock school by Lubbock Cooper?
I'm gonna admit that I drove back. I stayed in. You weren't able to.
I wasn't able to make the
trip. I stayed down for the Silsbee Hampshire Finette game. I stayed in Lumberton on Friday night, and my whole intention was to get up early and head back
for
home for the Texas game and, watch college football all day. I got back and I got in my easy chair. I was like, you know what? Need to do some football research for the show. I'm going to try it on my phone.
Oh, that's where it went.
So, Esta Canado Juat.
New high school. But anyway, that is Grant. I'm Terry. This is Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition. Normally we go to break, but we're just going to start jumping right into the review section. And let's start at the game that you were at. Silsbee holds off Hampshire Finette 39-21. At the end of the day, they just could not stop the Tigers' big offense.
Yeah. Look, man, I mean, Silsbee, we know how deadly they are. When Silsbee needs a play, they go to Drayland Miller. They do. Ashton Cartwright is very effective, and a lot of times they're giving Drayland Miller all this attention defensively, and it opens up Cartwright, who is very athletic. He's another FBS kind of player.
And I think their junior quarterback Michael Mosher needs to get a little bit more pub. I mean, this dude, he's got studs.
Trey Kibbles too.
Yeah, Trey Kibbles too. He's got studs on the a wideout, but you've got to throw it to him, and they've got to be able to catch it. And he was 17 of 28, 330 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have 1 interception. For me, I don't know if there's not a more explosive player than Drayland Miller in 5A and below.
Well, I don't know if there's much more of an explosive offense than Silsbee, too. I mean, everybody talks about center, but Silsbee is center offensively with a darn good defense. Look, Hampshire Finette, they held Hampshire to Finette to 21 points. 7 of that, or 6 of that, I guess, was Hampshire Finette had a blocked field goal returned returned it for a touchdown against Silsbee. Hampshire Finette had a few big plays outside and that led to a couple of touchdowns. After that, this Silsbee Tiger defense all but shut down the Longhorn offense. So,
I think that's the two things that are different this year and even last year. I know they lost, was it 58-56 to Cuero?
Yeah.
But that their defense, as you talk about, we're joking about center, they make a couple big plays. Also that their offense has been big play the last 3 years. But 2 years ago when they finished 5-5, they would just get into these funks offensively. They just, if you shut down Draylon Miller, that you shut down Silsbee. As you talked about, you can't do that now. Now, in saying that, I wanted to finish Draylon Miller. 9 touches, 200 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just absolutely crazy.
When they need a big play, go to Miller.
But you're right, though, man. When it comes to the playoffs, and if you start, leaning that way, they've got Kibbles out of the backfield, and they've got Cartwright, the wide receiver. Cartwright, the wide receiver. He had 5 catches, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
But Miller would have a corner and safety bracketing him, and he still made a play. Big play, not little bubble screens. I mean, big play, 25 yards down the field, down the seam, and he's just going up in bracket coverage and coming down with the catch.
And that's when they're big time. You and I have been doing this long enough that we've seen 1,000 players at all levels, but especially 4A and 3A, that they look like gods because nobody can touch them.
Yeah.
You realize when they get to college, they got to adjust to that. But you see players like Jordan Whittington and Draylon Miller who play good enough defenses that they can try to take him out of the game, and they just can't because they're just that good.
And Silsbee actually brought him in at safety for the whole game. First time he's played defense the whole game, and he's just a game changer. But I'm going to tell you right now, Silsbee, to me, it's up to them whether or not they go to Arlington.
I agree.
It is.
I agree.
They cannot have a game like they had against Cuero.
Yeah, because I'm still surprised they gave up that many points.
I don't think they have a game like that.
Now,
if they're on their A game, they're almost impossible to beat.
Now, in saying all that, Hampshire Finette's going to be playing for a long time too, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, this game did not take anything away from them and what they do. They have Liberty this week, and then they start the playoffs. They're on bye the next week. So, I mean, that felt like kind of the perfect, okay, you got beat by Silsbee, but you've measured up. You know where you're at.
Yeah.
Let's lick our wounds against Liberty, get some junior varsity players in, take the week off the last week, and come out firing. And I expect the Longhorns to be making a long run. I think a lot of the teams in this district are going to be making long runs in this region. And this is a good region, too.
Yeah, probably one of the fastest districts in the state.
Yeah, I agree.
When you look at speed-wise. All right, Brownwood, 35, Lubbock Estacado, 14. Brownwood defense held Estacado just 57 yards of total offense. The quarterback, Ike Hall, ran for 180 yards and 4 touchdowns.
All right, you were right. You've been right this year a bunch on these. I'm the one that has the epic rants about not trusting teams, and I had one about Estacado a few years ago, and, I was buying in. I've seen Brownwood. I'm impressed, but I still feel that Ike Hall's the only thing they have. But it's proving to me in this region that's probably all you're going to need because he's that special. I still like Estacado to go a few rounds, but this knocks them down a peg.
Yeah, but again, going back to what the Brownwood defense did, and they played a pretty solid game against Stephenville.
Yeah, well. they get kind of labeled, oh, well, you're going up against the third string quarterback. Yeah, but even when the first string was in there, Stephenville was having to work hard for their money. I mean, and Brownwood was physical.
Oh yeah, and Stephenville's got a really good running game that's starting to poke its head right now.
Yeah,
by the way, and I think that's when it really peaked against Brownwood, and Brownwood was the on the bad end, receiving end.
Sometimes losing your 2 quarterbacks forces you to realize what you do best, and you and I even talked about that going into the game. And by the way, Jason Smith, our embedded Stephenville reporter, shame on you for not telling us their quarterback was. You're not hiding anything from the rest of the state. You got to let us know these things. Staying out there, Canyon beat Randall 48-7. The Eagles racked up 633 yards of offense. 486 of that was on the ground.
Boy, how just what a luxury that is when you can line up and run 486 yards.
Well, and give this coaching staff credit. Last year they had Derek Clements, one of the best quarterbacks in all the land.
Yeah.
And they threw. They lost him halfway, like week 5 or 6. And they still were solid, and they kind of started running the ball more. They've carried that over this year. And I'm going to tell you, and I always talk about it. It's what the hat says right there. Run the down ball in the playoffs, even in 2023 in high school. If you can run the ball consistently, you're going to win a lot of games,
especially out there when it gets cold.
Yeah,
and
that
windy
wind
in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Canyon's now 7-1. Let me tell you, I went back and watched about 2.5, 3 quarters of this game online, and Canyon's big up front.
Yeah, and they were big last year. They were young. My only issue with them, and it won't hurt them in this region, is they haven't played anybody. Like, as far as played anybody, like they played Canyon's West Plain, but they lost by 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I just worry that they're going to be one of those traditional Region 1 teams that blows through the region and then gets to the region semifinal, or even maybe the state semifinal, and just get the doors blown off of them.
I think they're – well, I don't know that with the running attack that Canyon has, I don't know that they'll –
That's a really good point. That's a good point.
Doors blown off of them. I think that West Plains game maybe was a little bit of a tell, but I think if you go back and play that in the region finals, say, type of game, not saying they will or can, right? West Plains is...
Well, I think West Plains is a region favorite out there in Division 2.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really good.
I think it would be a different game.
Oh, no, I don't disagree with that.
All right, Decatur, 23, Springtown, 17. Springtown's getting a lot better right now.
I mean...
They started off a little bit slow, and now they are they're starting to play very competitive.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that you get them, in the second, third round of the playoffs, you're not going to want to see what they're doing. I thought they played very well in this game. Give Decatur credit, man. But Decatur's so confusing this year. I mean, their losses are all quality losses.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough schedule they played.
But I will say this, I'm impressed with them playing what I think is a solid offense in Springtown and holding them to 17, because that's been the knock on Decatur this year, was that that their defense was struggling.
Yeah, that Springtown quarterback can move the football, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's dual threat.
And you look at, for Decatur, we've talked about it all year, Nate Palmer, he ran for 135 yards. Jed Ross threw for 150. I think if there's been one thing that's been a little bit down for them this year, and I'm saying this, and this is a team that's scoring 50, is that they need to diversify their offense off of Nate Palmer more in the bigger games. And I think that's something that they're trying to figure out. But, yeah, good win for them, and honestly a good loss for Springtown, because my opinion, Springtown's going to beat Burke Burnett and beat Wichita Falls and be the second place team.
Yeah, me too. All right, Graham 58, Sweetwater 14. Graham's Ty Thompson threw for 201 yards and ran for 51. Rylan Munsey ran for 241 yards. This Graham offense is starting to click.
Well, and we've talked about
defense ain't so bad either.
No, and we've talked about them all year, and we talked about they're young, and we wanted to see how they responded against when they lost to Hershey 2 weeks ago. 27-26, and then the last 2 weeks. And again, it's been Snyder and Sweetwater, but Sweetwater started unbeaten at the beginning of the year. Yeah. And Sweetwater's very young. Watch out for them.
Don't they have a freshman
quarterback? Yeah. But the last 2 weeks, Graham has done what a team that needs to answer back when they've lost the game has done. They've destroyed Snyder 49-6, and now Sweetwater 58-14.
Yeah. All right, Carthage 72, Center 27. This is a game you watched online.
Yeah, I watched the first. So I watched up to. So first off, the offense for Center is the real deal. I had watched a couple of other games earlier. If you can watch them on NETSN, by the way, any Center broadcast on YouTube. And the Center broadcast, they're homer, but they're good. They call it right down the line. I watched the Center Dangerfield game and thoroughly enjoyed their broadcast of it a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. In this game, Center stood with them for a minute. It was 16-14. It was then 27-14, I want to say it was. About 45 seconds left, and Center's quarterback gets hit, fumbles, scoop and score.
That's all you need to get Carthage,
you could literally just hear the light click for Carthage. I swear it was audible, like, clock, there we go. And from that point on, if you're going to get Carthage, in my opinion, this year, you've got to get them early, and then hold on because you can get that quarterback's really young. Surratt, he's a stud. He's a sophomore. But it seems I've watched now a couple games where it seems like it takes him a 3 or 4 drives to truly kind of get clocked in.
Settle into their game plan.
Yeah,
right?
to their game plan, the rhythm. And we got to remember, every team sees something new from their opponent, but especially when you're Carthage, you're going to get teams trying things that they've never tried before just to try to stop you.
Right.
But, dude, it's Carthage. And the scary thing about this is I was watching that. The offensive line gives up some pressure because they're smaller. And then I go, oh, wait, they're all sophomores. So they're not small. They're small for 4A Division I seniors, but they're not small for 4A Division I sophomores. They're going to be big. And that's the thing that just scares me is for the first time in 10 years, Carthage has aligned their sophomore offense and their sophomore defense at the same time. Now, a few years ago, that meant they were like 8-5, 8-6. You can see the difference in the talent now. They're all young, but my God, that defense flies across the field. Center made a couple, should have been intercepted by Carthage. Holy crap. And I can't think of that wide receiver for center. He made the big play and he got the score. I wouldn't look at that, though, and think if I'm another team, hey, we're going to do that because centers triplets are legitimate.
Oh, yeah, they're special.
They're fun to watch. And that's why it still amazes me, like the Van game, they only scored 36. But they also, at times, when you have an offense that's all gas, no brakes, you have turnovers.
Yeah.
And that, again, seeing that last play, or not last play, but the play that closed it out late in the second quarter, that's how it was. They're at the 50-yard line. Hey, if they score, it's back to like a 13-point game. Get hit, scoop and score, and the game's over.
Yeah. Yeah. You do not want to give Carthage.
Yeah. That's the worst thing you can do is give a team like that a turnover.
Yeah. And I hope Van takes care of the ball. Right?
And we'll talk about in the next segment, but I know I made that. That was 10 years ago now, wasn't it? When I made at the Big R's preview show, I said Van would win the region and win state. And how they got beat by Carthage in the first round, like 40-6. But I will say this. I think the thing that can give Van hope is they are so diversified offensively that you can't key in on one thing. And so we'll see. We'll talk about that in the next
Still got to bring your A game though.
Yes, sir.
A+++ game. All right, La
Sounds
Vega.
like a school. Waco A++.
It's a charter school.
It's a charter school.
La Vega 49,
Wow.
Alvarado 28. Man, I thought Alvarado would play a little closer here.
Doesn't it feel like they're kind of running out of steam a little bit, maybe?
Well, I don't know. They're running into a tough part of the schedule.
Well, yeah,
I know that.
yeah.
That might be where the balloon got popped.
Well, but we see that all the time with these type teams. They're really talented. They're really young, and they start out really good, and then they kind of get into the slog of their district, especially this district, and they start to struggle. Now, in saying that, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to, and I wouldn't want to play them as I can't remember what who they play in the next district. But in saying that, same thing with La Vega. You know, La Vega, for all the talk that we have talked about it, and me and Matt Stepp have talked about it on Twitter about how, we're so used to them being all defense, okay offense. This year it's flipped. Yeah, but look at what they're doing against everybody not named like China Spring.
Yeah.
And Lorena. And they held Yoakum to 21, and you and I are very impressed with the Bulldogs.
I'm very high on Yoakum.
Holding Alvarado to 28. Now, we'll get a test next week. La Vega's off this week. Next week, they're playing Stephenville. I don't even care if they win or lose the game, but if they hold Stephenville under 40, then La Vega might be a team that you don't want to play in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, no matter what happens against Stephenville, I don't want to play La Vega in the first round.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly.
All right, how about Salina, 49,
that's right,
Carter, 34. Salina's quarterback Knox Porter threw for 266 yards. Harrison Williams ran for 93 yards on 16 carries. Here's the thing. The Salina defense did allow 399 yards rushing to Carter.
Well, so I don't know what to think about this game because
if you put it back to back, Salina struggled a little bit with Wilmer Hutchins too.
Exactly.
But then when you go back, well, they also beat Anna, and I've seen Anna twice online now, right? And Anna, I still think I still contend that Anna is better than they were last year, or as good, and Salina beat them. So what's going on here?
Well, here's the funny thing, and this is why Carter lost. Yeah, they had 399 yards of rushing, and they were 10 of 16 through the air, but they had 15 penalties for 117 yards. And that
is Salina just playing down to their competition?
Well, yeah, I think this is just they're at that point where in that district, other than Panther Creek, everybody else is okay. Wilmer Hutchins is okay. Carter is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But Salina's played Anna, and they're going to play Walnut Creek or Panther Creek. They're looking to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I will give them the benefit of that, and I will still say that these are the games that you always go, well, man, if Carter could just do this consistently, well, guess what? That's their whole issue is they can't do it consistently.
Right.
And so in saying that, I'll say like we did last year, I wouldn't want to play Carter in the first round. If you get them motivated and they're ready to play and it's at a favorable place, like if you don't have to go all the way to Sulphur Springs, maybe if you played at Royce City or somewhere inside Dallas, they might be a first round upset. But yeah, at the end of the day,
it would be an upset.
Well, it's Sulphur. Well, no, let's see. Yeah, it would be
Sulphur Springs.
It'll be Sulphur Springs last year.
Springs
yeah,
a little bit tougher. Even this year, they're looking.
You just want to avoid Anna in the first round, and if you avoid Anna, then you might have it. If you can beat Sulphur Springs, you might have a 2-round run. But for Salina, I give them a pass right now.
All right, here's a game I watched on Thursday. Stephenville 31, China Spring 21. And that Stephenville defense was relentless. Stephenville quarterback Ryan Gafford was 13 of 19 for 180 yards passing. Tate Mariska ran for 151 yards on 25 carries. But two things I take away from this game is that defensive front just making McCollum just move around the pocket, got him out of his comfort zone, forced him to throw a lot of inaccurate balls and some mistakes. And I mean, this Stephenville defensive front really showed up. And then the second thing was Ryan Gafford coming back when he got hurt against Brownwood.
Oh, man, that was so painful.
That was right in front of us, and we saw that elbow, and it was just all kinds of janky and crooked and just out of socket.
And the way we saw it was like a horror movie because he fell in front. We knew he hurt his shoulder, but we were like, oh, it's probably a separated shoulder and all. And he stands up and turns, and our whole sideline went, oh my god, because it was just so graphic,
so bad for the kid,
because I thought you and I both said, oh, that's a season ender.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like at least 6 weeks.
But now right? I was told, I was talking with another coach. I was told that depending on the grade, elbow dislocations are actually way quicker than like shoulder separation.
And it wasn't on the throwing arm.
So yeah, that's right. It wasn't. It was on the left. Yeah,
it was on the left.
So he's probably still bracing it, but apparently your elbow, like once you separate a shoulder, that can be a thing you deal with the rest of your life.
Right. Maxlow.
Yeah.
Gilmer.
Yeah,
my buddy.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Me and him talked about separated shoulders.
He separated his shoulder jumping off a bunk bed in a wrestling move.
Did he win?
Well, no, because he missed and hit the floor.
Was he trying to land on you?
No, I think it was on Brad Seymour.
That was a tag team. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I wasn't that tough, so I didn't tag.
You refereed.
I was just watching. Yeah. Then every time he coughed, then that thing would go out.
Well, yeah. So what are your thoughts on China Spring now, though?
I don't lose any shine on them. Look, China Spring is still a favorite to go to Arlington. One of my favorites to go to Arlington. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes you just
lose.
You lose.
When you're playing the schedule that they're playing, you're going to lose a few of them.
I think Stephenville remembered that epic game that they lost last year.
Oh.
We got them at home.
Yeah.
And that defense was.
But wasn't it at Decatur?
What?
They played at Glen Rose, didn't they? I thought they had to play to the third place because of the.
No, this is over at Talton.
Oh, so they get to play at Talton. Okay,
you didn't watch this?
No, I slept the whole Thursday, man. That was right. The epics of my sickness.
It's your job.
I know. That's why I rely on you, though. You're my tag team. Oh, wait, you already said you don't tag team. No, I thought that they had moved it to Thursday.
I think earlier in the year they were going to.
Yeah, because I think it was going to be like at Glen Rose or something.
Yeah, I think it was Glen Rose, but no, they moved it back. They played at Talton.
Okay.
So, yeah, at the home stadium. All right, Bay City 50.
Dude.
Needville 17. This is a little bit of a shocker. I thought Needville with that running game and that running back would play this a little bit closer, but Needville just put the shellacking on the Bay City put the shellacking on the Blue Jays.
Well, and here's the thing, and you and I talk about this as much as we talk about running, mm-hmm. If you give up 2-3 scores, it's harder to stick to that. I think this game was 32-17 at halftime. Bay City come out and 2 quick touchdowns and just kind of took Needville out of the game.
Yeah.
Now, and I want to say this is one of those games that probably probably, I haven't got to see a lot of the film. I just saw the stats. It feels like the game was a little bit closer than the score. Needville's coughed the ball up a couple times, gave them short fields. I think also Needville went for it on fourth down at like the Bay City 20 and couldn't get it. But I'm not saying that Bay City didn't deserve to win. I just don't know if they're 50-17 better. But hey, it's a district win. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I am really curious to see what this Black Cat team can do in the playoffs, because you look at their 2 losses. I know that Navasota one's weird, but it was a 4-point loss. They lost to Edna 28-21. Wow, Edna falling out of the polls. That was weird. We'll talk about that in the 3A.
About what, Goliad?
Yeah, remember back when we started?
Goliad's probably a little bit better than what we thought.
Goliad's always one of those teams that's tougher than their actual record is.
But
anyway,
tough kids down there.
Yes,
man.
but with Bay City, I'm curious to see what they do this week against Iowa Colony. To me, that's going to
a big game.
Yeah, that's a huge game.
Do we have that on
we have it on the
preview?
run sheet. Yeah.
All right. Jasper 41, West Orange Stark 38. What a gutty win by Jasper, by the way, because West Orange Stark, I think the lead. I'm trying to go back and remember being on the sideline at Silsbee, checking this game on and off, and West Orange Stark. I think the lead changed several times, but West Orange Stark seemed to be in the lead for the most part of the game, and then Jasper comes back and wins it, and it had to have been late.
Yeah, I'm trying to find right now. I didn't.
And if you know, maybe email us.
Yeah, Grant and Terry at I always want to say S2S Grant and Terry. Grant and Terry at S2Ssport.com. First off, again, we're talking 2 games in this district. This district is just a battle.
Yeah.
As great as Silsbee is, there's still a chance. Not a good chance, because I think they only have Liberty. I think I said that. Oh, no, they got Jasper in the year. So, I mean, there's no guarantee Silsbee's coming out unscathed. I think they will, but I mean, when you look at
if Silsbee plays their game, nobody comes close to them.
But you look at how close it took for them to beat West Orange Stark. It was 20-6, and it was 14-6 going into the last 3 minutes. And this district, it's just been such a battle. It's been a fun district, and there's going to be this is a 4-team district, and I said it when we talked Silsbee. I don't see these teams losing early in the playoffs. I think this is, last year in 4A division, it was Wimberley's district. All of them played everybody and only beat each other in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I could see that happening with this with this. And you got a team like West Orange Stark that's now 4-5. Wouldn't shock me if they're playing in the region final.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, Wimberley 48, Navarro 20. Well, what I thought it would be, right?
Navarro is, first off, I still wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs, but Navarro is younger. They're down compared to where they've been the last few years. Wimberley, I've seen them against Lampasas. We've seen a ton of film over the last few years. I watched all the Brock game. I'm going to say it again. Wimberley, if Carthage stumbles, I think Wimberley is one of those teams that could pick that up. I really like what the Texans have this year.
Yeah. Big up front, can run the football.
Cody Stover, one of the most underrated quarterbacks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Give them credit. When they lost Cash McCullum as a sophomore, a lot of people thought that they were going to take a step back, and they've just gotten better.
The defense is good. They basically sound like a hill country version of Van.
Yeah,
when you look at
a little bit more athletics, kind of like Van of 2 years ago when they had the big wide receiver.
But even this year,
yeah, that big wide receiver, that Russian, we called him, the kid for Van that gave Gilmer everything they could in that first half at Rose Stadium. Anyways, is that it?
Yep,
we got one more. All right. That is a review of Week 9. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to preview Week 10, and Coach X joins us right here on Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, brought to you by SI Design and Printing and Power Plus Mouth Guard.
Helmets don't protect every direction of force, and in some sports, a helmet just isn't part of the equipment, like basketball or soccer. Hockey has a small type of helmet. They just don't protect you against all the directions of forces that come into play. You can get forces on top of your head, on the helmets don't protect every direction of force, and in some sports, a helmet just isn't part of the equipment, like basketball or soccer. Hockey has a small type of helmet. They just don't protect you against all the directions of forces that come into play. You can get forces on top of your head, on the side, on the back, but under the chin, there's nothing to protect that except for a physiologically positioned jaw. Putting your jaw in its physiologic rest position brings the actual jawbone away from the skull so that when you receive that force from an impact, that force doesn't get translated through the joint into that cradle of the skull, injuring the brain.
Bennett and Grant Goodwin back here, sideline to sideline, the 4A edition, week 10. 2 more weeks to playoffs start. As we talked about in the first segment, we're going to be at one of the games in 4A this week. So we'll go ahead and start right there as we're going to go down deep into East Texas. Van in Carthage. Van 7-1. Of course, we've talked about Carthage enough this year. Jet Surratt, KJ Edwards, Brandon Manning, Mikkel Fields, Katie Matlock, and probably 7 freshmen and sophomores that we will learn their names by the end of the playoffs. With Van, it's spread out. It's not as star-studded, but like you said, this is kind of Van's program. They're a plucky Van Vandal program that I don't want to play in the end of the season.
Yeah, very good defensive front, right? Jackson Moffitt, who I'm assuming is healthy at quarterback. Yeah. I think they're balanced enough. Play good enough defense to at least maybe make it interesting for a little bit.
You know, they lost to Chapel Hill in week 2, 50-28, but that was also a big revenge game for Chapel Hill. They were the cock of the walk last year, and then Gilmer kind of stuck them, and so they were like, we're going to get right with with the Van, and then they went into Van, which, by the way, it's always hard to play in Van at Pennington Field, and they couldn't respond, and Van whooped them. And so I think this year there was a little bit of revenge. But the way Van bounced back and beat Lindell 42-37, and we've seen where Lindell has gone since then, beating Chapel Hill. I mean, I'm not going to in any way say that I think they have a chance to beat Carthage.
No, certainly.
But I'm not going to say it's a good chance, but I think it's a better chance than anybody else that's left on or that's been on Carthage's scheduling district.
Yeah, I think Carthage will stretch this late in the game or late in the second half. Yeah. Maybe not late in the game, but late in the second half. I think Van is good enough. Carthage is young enough. Where this will be a little bit close for the first half, but then Carthage will do what Carthage does. Again, at Jet Surratt at quarterback, he's starting to fill it. KJ Edwards, running back, you've named all these guys.
I mean, they're studs.
They're studs. This defensive front is getting better every week.
They're smallish compared to what Carthage has been, but again, they're mostly sophomores and juniors.
And they're quick, though.
They're really quick. And I saw, and again, I don't know if this was a center thing, or if this is something that's been going on all year, but like I know number 70 played both ways for Carthage. He played tackle and he played end, and really good, and really that lanky type of end. When you think of Carthage, you always think of that lanky end that just sets that edge, bats a couple passes down all day, meets at the quarterback a few times. And I'm curious to see Van, because the brackets have got to be filled out by people other than Pleasant Grove, Gilmer, and Carthage. There's other teams in this region, and somebody's going to play a long ways. And I think if we see what we think we're going to see from Van, it might be the Van Vandals this year.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, I forgot to tell you something. So no, you read what he.
You cheating son of a.
I didn't do anything.
So this time last few weeks, every time I pop that on you, you're all angry. This time
I'm not angry.
You did a very small reaction, and I know why, because I cheated. Hey Grant,
you read them?
I read it.
I usually send them to you, and you don't read them.
Because I usually don't try to, because I like to read them fresh. Because all the jokes, he's really funny. I didn't mean
he though.
Okay, see,
no. I meant
you. I think he's pretty funny. Let's see what he
No,
has to say.
I think he's great. I think he's funny. I'm like, do you not read them though? That's what I really.
Oh no,
meant.
I usually don't. I really don't. That's why I get tripped over with some of his things he says. All right, here we go. Hey Grant, what is up with the sigh when my music hits?
It's because Terry plays the volume too loud in my ear.
It's not.
And I'm like, yeah, it is.
It is.
You pump that volume up in that stupid intro.
You've never seen. I know you've never seen this movie. There's a movie called Benchwarmers.
Oh, I've seen it.
You really have?
Yeah.
With Rob Schneider and all that group.
Low.
No, not the sex tape. I'm talking. Anyway. Anyway,
okay.
Coach X. I know you've seen it. You remind me of Nick Swarton's
Not the one
character,
with
Coach
the
X.
cucumber.
No. That's
okay.
that's a whoa. I need to get you.
Oh, that was the snuff thing
I don't
were
think-
talking about.
Anyway, I feel like Triple H walking down the ramp and JR saying, "Damn you, Triple H, damn you to hell." Whereas Terry is more like Jerry the King Lawler, yes, saying, "Come on, JR, give him a chance." So poor K, Grant, poor K. It's cool though, which is just what Triple H would say right before he hits you with a chair. So watch out, man. Watch out. Ooh, he's threatening you. I mean, you don't realize how lucky you are. You get to sit right next to Terrence when he says the 8 greatest words in all of podcasting history. Let's see what Coach X has to say. I think we need to get back to the plan we had where we go around in a van solving mysteries. I don't remember this.
In a what?
Solving mysteries. He wants us to all get in the van and solve mysteries. Now we just need to find the van. A stoner with a talking dog shouldn't be too hard, but the red hot redhead that wears purple and short lesbian might be tougher, or maybe not. You guys live close to Dallas.
I'd take you to 8 now.
And those are the nice ones. We didn't even talk about the ones that come out at 2 a.m. All right.
I like the way he's trying to go all bilingual now. Poor K.
Yeah,
Grant,
you get
poor
that.
K.
He's been slipping that in this year. He must be, what's Duolingo? He must have that app where he's having to figure that out.
Yeah.
All right, here's what he says.
He's on Rosetta Stone.
Oh, wow.
That's all he's learned. Poor K. Grant, poor K.
And he still doesn't even know if he's using it right. He has to put it in
poor K, I say butter.
Old school right there.
Yeah.
He has to put it in Google Translations to make sure it's right. All right, here's what he says about Carthage Van. Guys, I know this one looks good on paper. Van has only lost 1 game, and it's for the district championship and all, but come on. You guys know that Carthage has won like infinity billion games in a row, right? Maybe we as football coaches should start a rule like Carthage has to play the first quarter with the running back's legs tied together. But then you could just list every player as a wideout, so there's your loophole. Hey, why is it a loophole? Why isn't it just a hole? I found a loophole. No, you found a hole. No, Grant, not you. That would be an a-hole. Wow. Yeah, I told you. Chair shots, give me Carthage. Wow. Wow.
He's really salty on me tonight.
I told you he would be a couple weeks ago. It's like
I poked the bear or something.
It's like Pony Express. It takes him 3 weeks to respond, though. I thought that was funny. All right, where are we going next?
I thought it was great.
Where are we going next?
Great, Terrence. Madisonville and Waco Connolly. Madisonville's now 7-1. Their quarterback Ty Williams got a really good receiver in Lorenzo Johnson. Jiron Burns at running back. It's pretty salty Madisonville offense, right?
Oh yeah.
Connolly's kind of given up some points lately.
Yeah, but it's who they've given them up to. You know, you and I were really big on Waco Connolly going into that China Spring game, and they played well at times, but they kind of got throttled. And then they got beat by 3 to Brownwood. Then they got beat by 3 to Springtown. But now looking back at Springtown, you go, okay, that's not really that bad. And the Brownwood game, I'd like to see them to score a little bit more. But again, we talk about Brownwood's defense is underrated. I know that Connolly's probably the favorite, but I just don't know if in a game like this, if they're going to answer. And they just tend to don't at times. I like Madisonville in this game.
I like Connolly. I do.
I like
Connolly
with that,
because Kiefer Sibley's ran for over 1,800 yards so
he
far.
is so underrated and unknown just because of the class he's in.
Yeah, their quarterback, Jamarian Vincent, is a is a danger running
They
the
had a
football, and
really
then
good
their
wide
quarterback
receiver.
Kobe Black is a shutdown corner.
Yeah, and he's a good wide receiver.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I like Conley. It might actually be an upset right now. The way Conley,
Right now Conley's a 17-point favorite.
Are they?
Yeah.
I do like Conley. I don't know if it's 17 points, but I like them by around 7 over Madisonville. Madisonville can run the rock, man. We saw it last year against Columbus.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and Madisonville has that real good Texas Tech stud. I think it's Lorenzo Johnson.
Yeah.
He's a great safety guy and at receiver, but at times it doesn't feel like Madisonville knows how to get him the ball. It's very just wide receiver screen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to change mine. I thought this game was in Madisonville.
Mm-hmm.
I'd send Waco Conley. I'm going to go ahead and say Waco Conley wins. Because I do think Madisonville would have had a little bit of a home field. That's a nice stadium, and they have a really good game atmosphere. We saw that against Columbus last year.
Yeah.
All right,
we both have Conley.
Yeah, we both have Conley. All right, here's what Coach X has to say. Is Rusty Nail still the coach at Madisonville? No.
AD, right?
Is he the AD?
He was AD last year.
Was he? That's right, because that's who you had to email for the credentials. I don't know why I didn't realize he kicked upstairs. I thought he was still coaching. I wish more parents would do cool stuff with names for their kids. Like I once saw a rodeo clown named Happy Feller. He doesn't realize
that's pretty cool.
But he doesn't realize that wasn't his actual name, right? Anyway.
Maybe it was.
Which I
Have
guess.
you seen the guy's
hang on. Which I guess. See, this is when I haven't read it all. Which I guess that wasn't his Christian name, but nonetheless, I went to school with a guy named Woody Head. I hope that's true. I had a brother a few years younger named Bobby Head. See, parents have some fun. You get to choose. You get a few chances to name something in your life unless you buy a boat. Give me the Johns in this one, which would actually be a horrible mascot. Someone would pay for that.
John Hooker.
Okay, but what's that got to do?
John Conley.
Oh, John Conley, Governor Conley.
God,
you know what?
How am I the voice of reason in this show?
Oh, you only saw it. No, I've gone so used to calling him Governor Conley that I forgot his first name. All right, where are you going to go next?
Let's go Iowa Colony and Bay City. Bay City coming out that huge win over Needville. Iowa Colony's 8-0. They got a really good quarterback in Carson White, really good running back in Aaron Tenner. Bay Cities with their running back Jada Andrews averages about 150 yards rushing a game. Alex Estrada at quarterback, Silent Williams at running back. This is an all-star studded cast on both sides of the ball for both teams.
Well, and this is a game if it wasn't week 10, right when we're going down to Franklin next week and then the playoffs, we would probably be going to, but we kind of just wanted to stay closer to home this week. I think this is
3 hours.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've drove the Carthage drive so long, it doesn't even feel like it's a long drive.
It is a long drive when you go all the way to Carthage for it to be a game only for about 5 minutes, and then Carthage is up by 49 points.
Or after spending the night or the day over in the boats, you get somebody screaming in your ear, pee-wee all day.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
This is going to be a slog in a good way. I think that this is an absolute battle. I think it's going to be a lot lower scoring.
Silver in Bay City.
And that's supposed to mean something. I've never seen a game in Bay City, but I can remember when Chad Worrell was head coach at El Campo, his first year they went and he talked about it after, like, it's just different there. Mm-hmm. It's one of those stadiums that, right or wrong, everybody thinks that they get home field advantage, and so that you're going to go down 14-0 before you even walk into the stadium. Iowa Colony, I mean, they're a new program. This is year 2. It feels like they're probably going to turn some heads like Bernie did a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. But in saying that, I kind of like Bay City in a slight upset in this one.
Really? I'm going with Iowa Colony in this one.
I have no problem. I think this is going to be a defensive slog. I know that, we talk about these offenses, especially Iowa Park on the year. They have not scored less than 35.
Park?
I mean, Iowa Colony, Iowa Park, man.
Wow, cool. We're shifting regions really quick.
Regions and class on the fly.
Give me a heads up, man.
It's the new style of show.
I got to looking at the rest. I don't even see Iowa Park on here.
But Iowa Colony has not scored less than 35 points all year long. So that tells me it should be offensive, especially with Bay Cities.
And defense is not bad.
Oh no, they're not. Either. They're not like, oh my God, shut you down. But when you're scoring 48, you're good. You're gonna as long as you're holding them to 25 or so, you're pretty good.
I will say this: Iowa Colony defense will get probably one of the toughest tests they've had so far, at least in district.
And that's a good point. When you look at who they've played all year, not just counting district, Stafford is maybe to this point the best team they've played, and me and you and Stafford, they can beat anybody, but they can lose to anybody.
Right.
So there is a good case right there that maybe Bay City's played a tougher schedule up to this point.
Yeah, absolutely have. But I still like Iowa Colony a close one.
All right, let's see what Coach X has to say. Did Bay City pay for some sponsorship on this show that I was not made aware of? We haven't talked about the Rollers this much since Chad Morris was their coach. That was their state championship. Mm-hmm. Now, all of a sudden, nothing but Rollers and Saturday nights. Hey, this past Saturday night, I went to a party that was an open bar. It was a great night for anybody that wasn't around Coach X because I took full advantage and then some of that bartender. That sounded kind of bad. I just mean I made the dude work hard for the money that he was getting. Damn it, I did it again. Hey, Coach, you realize there's a backspace button on your computer? Anything you don't want said, you just need to press that button. Give me Iowa. So he's talking to himself now.
He is.
I do promise you one thing. These two teams will score more than Iowa Hawks would ever score. Jesus.
They'll score that in the first 5 minutes.
God, man, that offense is such a terrible thing to watch.
Yeah, it is.
Any more?
It is. Yeah, there's a few more. Lumberton and LCM, Little Cypress, Mauriceville. After an 0-3 start, Lumberton is rolling now. Their quarterback, Lucas Powell, is he's really turning it up. And receiver Trey Kirsch is pretty much one of the most, reliable receivers down in that region. I like Lumberton in this one. I think they are just getting stronger every week.
Yeah, I know this is supposed to be a close game. I think Lumberton might win this pulling away. I'm not talking like 48-7, but I could see this being one of those that's 14-14 and then it's 42-14.
Yeah,
I think
LCM 6-3, but that's a tough schedule they've played.
Yeah, they lost to West Orange Stark, they lost to Kincaid, they lost to Legacy, they beat Vider, and that's when we first talked about them because we thought Vider was starting to heat up. Boy, they ended up falling flat.
Yeah, Vider can run the rock though.
Yes.
Man. They can run the run, and it's hard for a defense to stop Vider. So with Little Cypress Mauriceville's defense,
I still like Lumberton.
I do too. I like Lumberton. I don't know if it's going away, but I like them by 14-21 points.
All right,
I say around 14. We got 3 quick hitters. Why are you looking at the wrong run sheet?
Yeah, I think I am. It's been a long week for me, guys.
It must be. Yeah. I mean, they're glaring.
There they are. No, I was
Stephenville and Alvarado.
I was looking at Coach X's stuff.
Oh God. Anyway. Stephenville and Alvarado. Give me Stephenville over Alvarado.
Yeah,
this is in Alvarado, I believe.
I still think Alvarado is good enough to be a pest, but Stephenville's defense is just getting better and getting better. And if you hold China Spring to 21, I'm really hard finding Alvarado finding more points than that.
All right, Anna and Paris. Give me Anna by 14-21. Probably actually 21. I think Paris is a lot better than people think, but give me Anna by 21.
Yeah, this Paris team, they've been all up and down. It felt like they were getting right, and then last week Sulphur Springs beat them 37-30. Watch out, as you were talking about earlier. Watch out for the Wildcats.
Yeah.
So Sulphur Springs. I think Paris could be a team that could be a headache in the playoffs, but they're not going to be a headache to Anna.
All right, and then Somerset and Bernie. Give me Bernie. Bernie is just filling it right now. They're with a backup quarterback and still just mowing through their schedule.
Yeah, this is one of those games that we're just wanting to remind you that we know who Bernie is. Look, Somerset, they're 5-3, lost to Beeville Jones, lost to San Antonio Prep, lost to Fredericksburg. Dave Campbell's has it as a 15-point game. I have Bernie even with a backup quarterback. At this point, is he even a backup? He's played 5 weeks now.
5 or 6.
Yeah. I think Bernie names their score in this one.
I do too, actually. All right, that is it.
Trying to get you out of my house.
Man, no joke.
Oh, that's what happens when you're looking at the wrong run sheet. Anyway, that's going to do it for this week. Again, if you're going to be in Carthage to see Carthage and Van, let us know. We'll be there. We've got the Van rag. We'd love to have some Carthage swag. Amazing we haven't picked up a Carthage hat or something over the years.
We have. It's probably in the bottom of my closet.
I've got like 2 years worth of clothes in your bag or in your closet now. But anyway, if you see us, say hi. And if you're going to other games, be safe in your travels. 2 more weeks and the playoff starts. And, of course, we'll be here talking about that. Until next week, he's Grant. I'm Terry. This has been Sideline to Sideline, the 4A edition, brought to you by SI Design and Printing right here on L4 Media.